Test.
Good evening and welcome. This Poquoson City Council work session is called to order to discuss the Little Florida Road right-of-way survey. And we have with us tonight our city engineer, Mr. Sean Crawford, with a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor, City Manager. Tonight, we will look at the survey from a section of roadway from CVS to Galen Drive, as requested by Council. So I'd like to start off with a high-level overview of the area and just some features that are going on in the area. So the area that's being surveyed is approximately 850 feet for a potential sidewalk going from the CVS to Galen Drive and terminating there. This area has variable right-of-way, many utilities, including power poles, communication boxes, underground utility boxes, and things of that nature. Excuse me. The stormwater, which is a big thing when you look at when you're looking at sidewalks, is a mixture of curb and gutter. There's a small piped section in this roadway, or in this section, excuse me. And there is some ditches, a couple rather deep ditches along this section as well. And you'll see those as we move through the presentation. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to go by the plan sheets. First you'll see the plan sheet, and then you'll see some pictures following it showing the actual location and reference to the plan. So we will be going east, so we're going to start at CVS and we're going to work our way towards Shipwreck Island. We'll start off at 1 Hopkins Court. Let me see if this laser pointer will work here. Maybe not. Oh, where am I? All right, we'll try again in a little bit. But you can see the shopping center entrance right there. If you turn in there, the CVS is to the left. That's where the sidewalk currently terminates. What you'll notice out of this depiction is two colors. One, you have a green color, and then you have a yellow color. The green color denotes the right-of-way that the city currently has on this section of roadway, whereas the yellow is an easement that is currently a city easement for drainage, utility, and road widening. So you see a few colors as we go through this, 3 colors, green, yellow, and orange. As I stated, the green is the right-of-way. The yellow is, as you can see, City of Poquoson drainage and utility and a road widening easement. And as we move forward, you'll see just a City of Poquoson drainage and utility easement where the road widening's dropped off, and we'll get into that as we move along. Here's 1 Hopkins Court. Right now we're currently standing in the entrance to the CVS and the shopping center, and as stated earlier, looking east. That marker that you see, I wish I could get this thing to work. Right there, that's the right-of-way boundary. If we were constrained by the right-of-way in this particular section of roadway, we would not have the substantial land to put a sidewalk. But on this particular property, we do have a road widening easement, which would allow us to, if we move forward, put a sidewalk between the. Thank you. Put a sidewalk between the fence and the right-of-way line, as that is a potential road widening easement that can be used.
There's different kind of easements?
Yes, sir. So along this section, you will see 3 different kinds of easements. Right-of-way is a type of easement, but not all easements are right-of-way. You'll see the right-of-way line for public use. You will see a drainage and utility and road widening easement. It carries road widening easement, and it can be used in its current state to accompany a sidewalk. And as we move further down, you'll see where it changes to drainage and utility easement, which in its current state cannot be used for a sidewalk. It's for drainage improvements and utility work. So as stated, 1 Hopkins Court, we have the road widening easement available to us here to utilize between this fence and the right-of-way marker with just a bush that's in the utility, in this easement that would need to be removed. So we'll travel down Little Florida. We come to 2 Hopkins Court. You can see the green. It's hard to read on the screen, but that's the right-of-way line there. Up here, the yellow, once again, we still have this road widening easement portion, which would allow us to utilize for a sidewalk. Just to point out a couple things on here, these nice circles you see here, pine trees. This line here, if I can keep it straight, is a fence. Now we're looking at that property. On this particular property, if you look at the left picture, that stake right there marks the easement line for the drainage, utility, and road widening easement. The stake that's further to the right, closest to the road, that over by the power pole is the right-of-way stake, and it can also be seen in the picture on the right. For this property, in order to put a sidewalk, we would have to do there would need to be some modifications done. This fence would need to be moved out of our current easement to make a sidewalk work. So as we move down, this is 1 Oxford Mews. The reason it looks like this is because it's a cut sheet on plans. So what's labeled as lot 11 is just one whole lot. This is where our easement changes. As you can see at the top of the green line, it goes from yellow to orange. So now we've gone from having that extra roadway widening easement aspect to now just having a drainage and utility easement. And the reason that I point this out is because it will become more prevalent towards the end of the conversation that we have today. So now we are looking down Oxford Mews, 1 Oxford Mews, the house on the left. If you were to turn in, the stake that is in the dead center of the picture on the left is the right-of-way line. Excuse me. In the current state of the right-of-way and the easement, we would be required to stay within the right-of-way, which would mean between the roadway and that stake. It's kind of hard to tell from this picture, but there is about a 1.5 foot drop off of the road to flat land for drainage from the roadway. If we were to have to design within this right-of-way segment, there would be considerable drainage improvements needed, maybe some fill, some regrading, and things of that nature. And the picture on the right, you can see the right-of-way stake is over there to the right, and the easement stake is over here, right on the other side of these crepe myrtles. Now we'll look at 2 Oxford Mews. This is a more challenging property along this stretch. I will point out from the survey drawing, you will see a bunch of black dots running down here. This represents a deep ditch for drainage. It's approximately 3.5 feet deep from the bottom if you are level with roadway grade. Some sections may be a little bit more. And once again, on this property, we are confined to the right-of-way in its current state, as the easement is just currently a drainage and utility easement as listed, which you can see right up there. Okay, this property has lots of unique and challenging features, for lack of a better word, with design in the current right-of-way. The picture in the middle, that stake right there, so between, it's hard to gauge from this view, but it's pretty much at the tail end of that power pole. So between that stake and the roadway in the current configuration is where a sidewalk would need to be designed. As you can see, it's could create quite a challenging design for stormwater, drainage. It would take quite a bit of substantial fill and regrading. Those are all things that would be looked at in a design capacity. In the picture on the far right there, once again, as I stated earlier, it's kind of hard to gauge the height difference when you're looking at a picture kind of on a plan view like this, or excuse me, a profile view like this, but it's about 3.5 feet drop off from the road to the bottom of that ditch. The 37 Little Florida Road, also labeled as the Bunting Manor. The right-of-way widens here. We go from a 50-foot right-of-way as depicted down here at this green line. It turns up and goes to 60 feet. All across Little Florida, the right-of-way changes a lot. That's because Little Florida was built in sections. The Bunting Estates, as it's called, is a section of homes. When they were built, a certain right-of-way was given to them. Later on, as you move down Little Florida, the right-of-way might get shorter. It might get bigger because everything was built in subdivisions and you know, sets of 5 to 10 houses. So this particular property, we have, as I stated, it goes to 60-foot right-of-way. There is some significant features on this property. Every one of us in this room has seen it. It has a brick retaining wall that runs down the property, as well as you know, a split rail fence along it. To navigate a sidewalk, through here, we would basically have to come up through here and make a nice transition, turn over into here, and actually, once we would get further in design, if we move forward with this, we would see that it would probably be best suited running on the inside of that brick retaining wall. That in itself poses some drainage and stormwater features that'll have to be looked at further. We have to be able to get the water from a flat topography here down into this ditch. You can't really tell from this middle picture, but we have about a 2-foot drop off of a ditch right there along the roadway. And now we move to the final property, which is 1 Galen Drive. This property maintains the 60-foot right-of-way, which again can be used for the sidewalk. We have sufficient room on this property to add a sidewalk. There would be quite a bit of clearing, which we will look at in the following pictures. So as I spoke of earlier, the brick retaining wall, you can see here, runs down the entire 37 Little Florida property, the one we just looked at previously. Our property line is roughly right here. Our right-of-way ends over here, so all of the trees and shrubs and all of that would need to be cleared out, but we do have the real estate through that particular section. And the picture on the right is where you would turn onto Galen Drive. The sidewalk, potential sidewalk, could come out just to the left of this hedge here and terminate at Galen. So before we get into any questions, I just want to touch on a couple of our proposed next steps as we move through this process. It is recommended that we meet with the homeowners of both 1 and 2 Oxford Mews to discuss acquiring an easement for a sidewalk. As I stated earlier, the easement that's currently there is just a drainage and utility easement. So we would meet with these 2 homeowners and have conversations in regards to a potential easement to put a sidewalk through there. So, you know, we're looking at, you know, at least maybe a month's time to get with these two homeowners to discuss some things, and then, you know, we'd like to come back, and I'd like to come back and update council based off of the conversations that I have with those homeowners, and then we can kind of move forward from there, whether they, you know, would like to grant an easement and how council would like to move forward once we gather more information. So that wraps up that 850-foot section of 6 houses. I'd be glad to answer any and all questions you may have.
Would you review the easements and what you can put on each different kind of easement, what's allowed? Like on drainage, can you put a sidewalk, or?
No, sir, not.
Utilities, can you put it, you know, would you review those kind of things?
Right, that's why we want to, you know, discuss with the two properties that do not have that added-on feature of road widening easement. In its current state, it is just a drainage and utility easement.
You can put a sidewalk on
No,
road
sir.
widening,
Yes,
not on utility or drainage, is that?
yes, sir.
That's a definition?
That's that's correct, unless it's titled drainage, utility, and road widening. And in two of our cases, it is. Each one is a little different. But the ones that do not reflect road widening and are not road right-of-ways, then we can't. So I think what Sean is trying to show you is that we may very well still be able to construct a sidewalk within the existing right-of-way and appropriate easement. However, be significantly more difficult and significantly more expensive. So we'd like to spend the next month talking to those homeowners to see if they would consider an effort to expand the existing utility and drainage easement in the exact same footprint to also be a road widening easement, at which point we would have the ability to do the work a little further away from the road, a little further away from the ditch itself. So we're not sure what their thoughts are, but we may be able to work together to find a conclusion mutually acceptable with homeowners. That would be our goal.
I just didn't understand the restrictions on the easements as a reason for my question.
Yes, sir, thank you. And to add on to what the city manager just stated, particularly circumstances like this where you have very deep ditches and you have the power pole and you're confined to the area between the power pole essentially and the roadway, we're talking pretty significant changes in the topography for the design of a sidewalk, because we would, you know, we have to move the water somewhere. So there'd be quite a bit of, like I said, design challenge, which makes it a little bit more challenging, not undoable. But if we can acquire an easement, we're looking more at this stake here, where we have flat topography, which can be seen kind of along this fence line right here without dealing with this ditch and this slope drop off.
Along those lines, where does the water go? Which way does it go?
All these properties drain to With Creek Road.
So the water comes from each of the streets down to this ditch. New swale we just put in, 2 years ago?
The ARPA project?
Right.
Yes, that's actually, let's see, so that's this here.
Right.
This comes down, it goes into a pipe.
Oh.
And then it goes under, and there's a pipe that crosses Little Florida. All of the water goes to With Creek. And then it gets conveyed, crosses With Creek into Oxford Run, and leaves Oxford Run to head right down next door.
So the water is in the ditches, the water's in the ditches until it gets to that hole that goes into a pipe to go underneath With Creek?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's in, so we have, like I said earlier, 3 components here. We have curb and gutter in some sections. We have a small piped section, and then we have the open ditches.
As I noticed in one of the photographs, the one that's 37 Little Florida Road has a, yes, a great, there you go, back, there you go, from the left picture is a great, is that the only one like that? And is that something that might have been done by the homeowner at a time past?
That would have been done by the city, and that section is very small. It's actually, there's an open ditch on the other side, right here. It goes under the driveway into this pipe, and then we will go, and then it exits out right there, and then it goes to an open ditch. So the area, the footage you're looking at for that section is, 40 feet, maybe 50 feet, something like that. And the only other piped section is that sheet flow section would be the drainage easement from earlier. If I can get there, which is right here. The widening that you spoke of, that goes into a pipe, but that goes across Little Florida.
Eventually goes down to Oxford Run.
Yes, sir. Everything in this section
Creek again.
gets channeled to Oxford Run.
So I have a question. The 2 homeowners that you're going to talk to, is that prerequisite to you talking to the homeowners that are going to end up getting moved, that you have to have these conversations first?
At this time, I believe our best course of action would be to talk to these 2 homeowners, get what their thoughts are on this, and then come back to council for direction on how to move forward.
Okay.
And if we do move forward, then the homeowners, which every homeowner along this stretch has something in an easement or right-of-way that they will have to, remove, such as the fence that I showed. Oops, right here. There's not enough clearance to get a
Right.
sidewalk in here.
And just for clarification, it looks like, because the road is higher than when you get to the flat portions where you can put a sidewalk, that means that during times of rain, it'll be on the lower side of the ditches.
The sidewalk?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Which property in general are you?
The
There-
ones where they had the deep ditches, it looked like the
Right.
road was significantly higher than the properties.
Yes.
And so wet feet on a sidewalk.
So-
I was just thinking for the endurance of the sidewalk, if it doesn't have runoff capability for those sidewalks.
Right, so if we obtain an easement in here, the sidewalk would flow with probably a 2% slope into this ditch, and the ditch would stay in its same current state.
Okay. All right, thank you.
It may be built up slightly to handle the runoff from the roadway into the ditch, but the ditch would stay in its current configuration.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is the current state there good enough to take water away during a hard storm? Or does it flood even now?
Can you define hard storm?
Yeah, that'd be a hard storm.
We get a good rain. As everybody that lives in Poquoson or spent time here and know the topography, we have water in standing ditches everywhere, but I would say that it's sufficient to move the water currently. Yes, sir.
The current standard width of a sidewalk, if we were to build a new one, does it vary or is there a standard?
Standard's 5 feet wide. ADA requirements are 3 feet. If you build a sidewalk less than 5 feet, in width, you need to have a section every 200 feet where pedestrians, or say someone is in a wheelchair, they can have a safe spot to get to a side where people can pass. The current standard's 5 feet.
And what's the current standard, or is there a standard of an offset from the paved road?
There's not. You typically want to keep like a 1 to 2 foot buffer of just grass, if you will. So. That would be something that would be looked at in design. Obviously, the bigger buffer that you can give, the better.
Any other questions or comments from council members?
Not until they come back, the recommendation from those two houses, yeah.
Okay.
I just have one more, is if we do build the sidewalk, is there mitigation to allow any runoff from the property into the ditch if needed?
When you say property, do you mean?
Oh, that it's crossing. I don't know if any of these have
If-
per se.
Are you saying where it crosses like a driveway, or if it's? So it
Driveway
would
or
terminate at the
below?
driveway, and then pick back up on the other side of the driveway. So anywhere that the sidewalk, a potential sidewalk would be placed would be sloped towards wherever drainage we would have. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
thank you.
Sean, you mentioned earlier, and I know the surveys have not been done, but basically this problem, we have basically three different things, just getting to this Third Street, Galen, would continue all the way down Little Florida, past Cedar Road. And
Would we?
some would be drainage and utility easements only, some would be road widening easements, and
Yeah.
no way to tell unless you do a thorough.
Yes, sir. So without doing an up-to-date survey, we're looking at plats and things from the 70s, some even later than that. And like I stated earlier, it was all built in sections and subdivisions, 5 to 10 houses. So the right-of-way changes as you go up and down Little Florida. So a full survey would have to be done for each of these sections. And the thing about it is you don't know what you're going to get till you get it back. With some of these and trying to do a retrofit, it comes with these challenges of these older roadways.
Any other questions or comments from council members? All right, with that being said, thank you so much for all the questions and comments. Sean, well done. Thank you for the presentation. Randy as well. Appreciate you offering your expertise. Council, can we get a consensus to direct Sean to execute the steps that he had identified in the slideshow?
I think if we don't know what we're dealing with, so we ought to go ahead and get it done.
Exactly. Okay. Have a consensus, sir?
Take off the question mark.
Yes, exactly. Just take off the question mark. Any opposed to that? Okay. Sean, please carry on with your steps.
Thank you all for your time this evening.
Sir, do you need anything else from us right now?
No, sir, not currently.
Thank you. Randy?
Good, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, well, that concludes the work session, and we'll continue on with the regular session in 15 minutes. So thank you very much. Good evening and welcome. This Poquoson City Council meeting is called to order. If we could all please rise, Vice Mayor Bunton will have the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Let's pray. Dear God, we enter your gates with praise and thanksgiving for the many blessings you have bestowed upon each of us, our city, state, and our nation. Thank you for the freedom we enjoy, and we pause to remember those who sacrificed their lives for us while in the service protecting our country and our freedom. Let's please pause for a moment of silence to remember our fallen service members. Dear Lord, I pray that you would give peace to their families, the peace that only you can give, the peace of God which surpasses all understanding, and for protection of those who are currently serving in the armed forces. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, Debbie. Item C on the agenda is the audience for visitors, and we will now open the floor for public comment. Seeing none, we'll close the floor and move on to item D. We have three special presentations tonight. The first is for the Memorial Day. Second is a presentation of public safety building plaques. And the third is the 50th anniversary tumblers. Tonight we have with us Miss Charlene West from the Poquoson Historical Society and Museum. She's going to be the narrator for us. And we have a slideshow that was put together in 2017 when we did the expansion of our military memorial. Before we start with that, I wanted to read just a few words, if I could, about Memorial Day. And these are not my words, but just in doing some research, I came across these and I felt it would be appropriate. By the grace of God, we've come a long way since 1776 as we prepare to celebrate our 250th anniversary in 2026. We are forever grateful for all those who served our country and paid the ultimate sacrifice for our democracy. They stood up and answered the call of duty in our time of need. We're forever grateful for their commitment to uphold their oath to serve and protect the Constitution. We owe them our unwavering commitment to do the same while we collectively work to perfect our union and to achieve liberty and justice for all under the laws of our constitutional republic. Lest we forget the sacrifices made on our behalf. Charlene, if you could please narrate the slideshow for us.
Mr. Mayor, council, guests, residents of Poquoson. I'm Charlene West, and I'm with the Poquoson Historical Commission and Society and the Poquoson Museum and the past regent of the Charles Pierce chapter of the NSDAR. And I have the distinct pleasure of delivering a tribute to Poquoson's military fallen heroes. Before I begin, I'd like to enlighten you on one of the surnames, and the last name is Wainwright, which will be heard in this presentation 3 different times. The relationship between these three are as this. There were 3 brothers who became fathers, who then sacrificed 3 sons to 2 great wars, World War I and World War II. And for our liberties and freedoms, which we take for granted today. Now, why am I enlightening you on this small part of this information is that the 3 fallen heroes are my relatives. One is my great-granduncle, one is my great-grandcousin, and the other is my grandcousin. Now, it's time for tonight to honor the 18 fallen heroes, and we will begin with the First Great War, World War I. Robert Reed Holloway. Born March 20th, 1897, died October 7th, 1918. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. John Henry Holloway. World War I, U.S. Army Private, Company C, 9th Infantry, 2nd Division. Robert arrived in France in June 1918 and was killed in action at the Battle of Mont Blanc Ridge. His name is on a special plaque at Trinity Church outside the sanctuary. The Poquoson American Legion Holloway Moorpost 273 is named in his honor, and he is buried at Weston Cemetery in Poquoson. Harry Rowe Wainwright. Born January 6, 1897, died October 13, 1918. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. John T. and Mary E. Wainwright. World War I, U.S. Navy Reserves, machinist mate, 2nd class. Harry is my great-grand-cousin. Harry enlisted in the U.S. Naval Reserves in July 1918. He contracted the Spanish flu and pneumonia in September and died at the U.S. Naval Hospital in Portsmouth, Virginia, and he was buried at the Wainwright Cemetery in Poquoson. Wilton Thomas Wainwright. Born April 17, 1894, died November 10, 1918. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. William E. Wainwright. Wilton was my great-grand-uncle. His sister, Norina Gertrude Wainwright Inslee, in whose home that I now reside in. Wilton was with the 80th Division, which was the only division in the American Expeditionary Force to attack in all 3 phases of the Meuse-Argonne offense in France. It was during this action that Wilton was killed in action at Verdun, France, one day before World War I ended. He is buried at Tabernacle United Methodist Churchyard in Poquoson. The Great War II, World War II, 1941 to 1945. Granville L. Adams, Jr. Born March 16, 1923, died August 20th, 1944. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. Granville L. Adams. World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps, Staff Sergeant, 468th Bombardment Group, 792 Bomb Squadron. Granville was declared missing in action after bailing out of a B-29 Superfortress over the China Sea on August 20, 1944, due to damages caused by anti-aircraft artillery. He was declared dead on April 8, 1946. His name is on the Tablets of Missing monument in the Philippines, Manila American Cemetery and Memorial. He was awarded the Air Medal, the Purple Heart, American Campaign Medal, and the World War II Victory Medal. A memorial marker is located at Weston Cemetery in Poquoson. Joseph Clyde Edwards. Born August 14, 1923. Died March 2, 1945. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. George Edwards. World War II, U.S. Army, Private, Company F, 333rd Infantry Regiment, 84th Infantry Division. It was during the Battle of the Bulge, December 1944 through January 1945, that Joseph was wounded in action. The 84th Division pushed Field Marshal Gerard von Woodstead forces out of Belgium. Joseph died from his wounds on March 2, 1945. He is buried at the Hampton National Cemetery, Section F, P Site 770. John Ray Forrest. Born July 31, 1920. Died February 19, 1945. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. John Henry Forrest. World War II, U.S. Marine Corps, Private, 25th Marine Division. John was a 1937 graduate of Poquoson High School and had previously worked in the riveting department at the Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company. He was killed in action during the Battle of Iwo Jima. He had a fiancée, Sammy Harrell of Newport News, and he is buried at Weston Cemetery in Poquoson. Ernest Thornton Holloway. Born February 2nd, 1925. died October 27, 1944. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. Maynard M. Holloway. World War II, U.S. Navy Reserves, Seaman, First Class, USSPT 523, Torpedo Boat, Squadron 36. Ernest was wounded during the Battle of Liet Gulf, October 23 through the 26, 1944. The battle was considered the largest naval battle in U.S. history. He died of his wounds on October 27, 1944, at the age of 19 years old. He is buried at the Hampton National Cemetery in Hampton, Virginia, Section F, Site 192. Alfred Moody Moore. Born May 25, 1910. Died May 8, 1944. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. William Franklin Moore. World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps, Captain, 10th Bombardment Squadron, Aerial Reconnaissance. Alfred was killed in a plane crash while en route to Panama from San Jose, California, on May 8, 1944. He is a graduate from Poquoson High School and VPI. He volunteered for training in the Army Air Corps and graduated from the schools in Miami Beach, Florida, and Harrisonburg, Pennsylvania. He was married to Elizabeth Moore, who lives in Bowling Green, Virginia. A memorial marker is located at the Peninsula Memorial Park in Newport News. Harold McBride Moore. Born June 4, 1917. Died February 22, 1943. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. S.J. Moore. World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps, Captain, 13th Ferry Group, 44th Squadron. Harold graduated from VPI in 1939. He was killed in a plane crash on February 23, 1943 in Tunisia, North Africa. He was posthumously awarded the Distinguishing Flying Cross. The Poquoson American Legion Holloway Moore Post 273 is named in his honor. He is buried at the North African American Cemetery and Memorial in Carthage, Tunis, Tunisia. Plot A, grave 18, row 8. Harry E. Wainwright. Born May 11, 1923. Died November 3, 1945. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. Benjamin Wainwright. World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps, Corporal, Air Transport Command. My grand cousin. Harry was an apprentice at Norfolk Naval Shipyard before enlisting in the Air Corps on January 11, 1944. He died in a plane crash 450 miles east of Hawaii while on his way to San Francisco. A memorial marker is located at Olive Branch Cemetery in Portsmouth, Virginia. Korean War, 1950 to 1952. Jack Sinclair Holloway. Born September 10, 1930. Died December 13, 1952. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. John Vaden Holloway. Korean War, U.S. Marine Corps, Private First Class, 3rd Battalion, 5th Regiment, 1st Marine Division. Jack was a graduate of Poquoson High School. He entered the Marine Corps in August 1951 and was killed in action on December 13, 1952. He is buried at Weston Cemetery in Poquoson. Joseph Eugene Wood. Born October 29, 1930. Died September 4, 1950. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. John N. Wood. Korean War, U.S. Army, Private First Class, Company L, 3rd Battalion, 7th Cavalry Regiment, 1st Cavalry Division. Joseph was reported missing in action in September 1950, 1 month after arriving in Korea. He was killed by hostile fire during a battle in South Korea. He is buried at Weston Cemetery in Poquoson. Vietnam War, 1955-1975. Richard Thomas Huggett. Born September 21st, 1949. Died June 13th, 1968. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. George Huggett. Vietnam War, U.S. Army, Specialist 4th Class, 3rd Squadron, 4th U.S. Cavalry, 25th Infantry Division. Richard was killed in action by hostile fire at Hunanaya, South Vietnam. He was posthumously awarded the Cavalry Order of the Spur. His name is listed on the Vietnam Memorial Panel, 57W, line 10. He is buried at Poquoson Memorial Park in Hampton, Virginia. Paul Adams Mayer, born March 10, 1946, died May 23, 1969. Parents, Mr. Paul and Marjorie Mayer. Vietnam War, U.S. Air Force, Sergeant, 36th Technical Airlift Squadron, 316th Technical Air Wing Lift. Paul attended the Missouri Military Academy in Mexico, Missouri, and was a descendant of John Quincy Adams. He served 2 tours of duty in Vietnam and was stationed at Langley Air Force Base, where he lived with his wife in Poquoson. He was on temporary duty in England when he died during a C-130 crash into the English Channel. His remains were never recovered. He was survived by his wife, Jane Goodson, and 3 children, David, Henry, and Mary Ann. David Blaine Owen, born January 27, 1936, died October 4, 1967. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. Frank David Owen. Vietnam War, U.S. Army, Sergeant First Class, MA, CVA, Advisory Team 99. David was killed in action at Long On, South Vietnam. His name is on the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C., Panel 27E, line 50. He is buried at Weston Cemetery in Poquoson. Gilbert Wayne Page, born December 3, 1948, died May 17, 1969. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Page. Vietnam War, U.S. Army, Sergeant, A Company, 1st Battalion, 506th Infantry, 101st Airborne Division. Gilbert was killed in action during the Battle of Hamburger Hill in Thuận Hue Province in Vietnam. He was posthumously awarded the National Defense Service Medal, Combat Infantry Badge, Purple Heart, Vietnam Campaign Medal, and the Vietnam Service Medal. His name is on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall, Panel W24, line 33. He is buried at Weston Cemetery in Poquoson. Operation Iraqi Freedom, 2003 to present. Kyle William Brown, born December 23, 1983, died January 7, 2006. Parents, Mr. Rodney Lee Taylor Bridges and Mrs. Teresa A. St. Pierre. Operation Iraqi Freedom, U.S. Marines, Lance Corporal, 2nd Battalion, 6th Marine Regiment, 2nd Marine Division. Kyle served 1 tour of duty in Afghanistan and 2 tours in Iraq. He was killed by sniper fire near Fallujah, Iraq. He was awarded the Iraqi Campaign Medal, Global War and Terrorism Service Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and the Purple Heart. He is buried in the Arlington National Cemetery, Section 60, Site 8308. Vincent Joseph Vinnie Padula, born April 18, 1986, died June 16, 2005. Parents, Mr. Vincent and Susan Padula. Global War and Terrorism, U.S. Army, Cadet, JMU, ROTC. Vinnie was a 2004 graduate of Poquoson High School. He had completed his first year of college at James Madison University, where he was a biology major and a member of the ROTC program. He was training at Fort Benning, Georgia, and died after suffering an injury while attending airborne school. He is buried at the Albert G. Horton Jr. Memorial Veterans Cemetery in Suffolk, Virginia, Section 3, Row 5, Site 32. Many individuals and groups have helped move this project forward. Thanks to you, to the members of the City Council, and members of the Memorial Committee for their dedication to this project. Thank you to Tim Smith for his help in obtaining photographs, to Barbara Whitlow and the members of the Poquoson Historical Commission for their research, to Jessica Hartley and Amy Blow of Poquoson Library for their help with the project, and the Holloway Moore American Legion Post 273 for their assistance and financial support. And finally, to all the families who have lost loved ones, they shall never be forgotten. Thank you.
Charlene, thank you so much for being here tonight. You're definitely the right person with the personal connections that you have. So thank you so much for sharing the personal ties with us. You did a wonderful job narrating. And I also want to thank Kevin. He's here tonight to represent the Holloway Moore Post 273 of the American Legion. And Kevin is in line to be the next post commander. Kudos to you, Kevin. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for bringing the bell. And they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So what we're doing here at the council meeting tonight follows the example of what the Legion has done for many years on Memorial Day. So we want to do something similar. And being inside, we have the ability to have the slideshow, and I think it speaks volumes to the value that we put on sacrifice, service, and patriotism when going back, in some cases, 107 years. These veterans' names are being called, their biographies read, and their pictures are being shown right here in the seat of their local government. So it's the least we can do to keep their memories alive, and we're grateful for their service and sacrifice. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to invite Sterling Topping from the Charles Spears chapter of NSDAR. We have a little presentation.
Thank you.
I-
250th anniversary of the founding of our country is next year. We figured we'd get the library jump-started with approximately 20 books about the American Revolution from everywhere from little kids in kindergarten to high school students. So we give this, and thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't know who wants to take these, but they're not coming up with me.
Thank you again, Charlene. Ma'am, I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Sterling Topping.
Sterling Topping?
Yes, the Topping. From
Very good.
Poquoson.
Yes,
I live
ma'am.
in Hampton, but my husband's father grew up here, Marshall Topping.
Marshall and Moody. Yeah, my father-in-law grew up with Marshall and Moody, so yeah.
Apparently kind of infamous because they got into a lot of mischief, shall we say. They were excited people.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Topping, and for the books as well.
The library next to you, so.
Really difficult to follow up a presentation like that. We do have some other people tonight we'd like to recognize and honor and express our appreciation for what they've done for this city. We have with us from HBA Architecture and Interior Design, Mr. David Smith. And if y'all could join me at the podium in just a minute, I'd appreciate that. From Valacor Construction, we have Mr. Ken Pache and Mr. Dale Jenkins.
Oh, Dale's down here.
Okay. I'm sorry, who do we have with us? Mel. Mr. Mel Vinson, also from Valacor.
No, HBA.
HBA, I apologize. Gentlemen, if y'all could join me at the podium, please. A few weeks ago, we had our groundbreaking, well, actually our dedication and ribbon cutting for a new public safety building. And it's certainly a big event for us. This is a facility that will serve the generation for decades to come. It's a generational facility for us. And HBA and Valacor have certainly been monumental. Y'all have been great friends to the city. I know y'all work together closely as partners, finished the project up on schedule. And it's a wonderful facility for us. So thank you so much. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Shay?
That's nice.
Mr. Smith? Yes, sir. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you being with us. We have one other gentleman we'd like to recognize as well, Mr. Keith Webb. This is actually the second project Keith has helped us with. Keith has served as our project manager, first with the middle school modernization project, and he did such a wonderful job for us. It was a natural transition for him to be the project manager for our public safety building, and he's also helped us out with some other projects, so we appreciate you sharing your expertise.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. You've been a great friend to us.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. The next presentation we have is from our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Tanya O'Connell, and she's going to share some information with us on our 50th anniversary tumblers.
Absolutely. Super excited to kick off our 50th anniversary with a shop and dine in the city of Poquoson. I'd like to first thank two people that help us, as well as Christy Snap, but Jessica Hartley in the library, as well as Ashley Chakai, helped me with this. Both of them brought this together and took the vision of the mission statement with Poquoson as the place, as the key, and created what we like to think is kind of like a bingo, but not really a bingo. So we've created something for our residents, our citizens, to go to 5 local shops and purchase goods, services, and meals, hopefully, for a total of 150, to receive one of our tumblers with our anniversary logo presented on the tumblers. In addition to the tumblers, if our patrons visit another 5, they have the ability to be entered into a drawing for $50. Now, with this drawing, we do have some of our prominent restaurants and our locations, but we also do have a citizen's choice. So we want to include our other restaurants that are kind of more known through commercials, but we won't name them. But again, the purpose is to shop and dine in Poquoson, spend your dollars, help out our restaurants, help out our establishments if you can. Come by to the city manager's office during the month of June, so this is the entire month of June, get a tumbler, enter in for the drawing. Now, supplies are limited, so for those who are listening at home, don't wait. Go spend and come see us. But we are super excited. We're going to be visiting the restaurants and establishments this week, doing our table toppers as usual, and then putting a sign out front. So we're super excited about that. And it'll also, I'm going to take a little bit of Gretchen's thunder a little bit, but we also have about the Celebration Park as well on there to remind people that what's coming up, which is June 27th, that Friday, at 5 to 10. It's free. So please don't plan on attending those. So, welcome to any questions that you may have.
Do you get to choose the silver or the white?
Again,
While supplies last.
while supplies last. So if you like this lovely white edition, I would not wait. However, if you like the silver edition, you have some time. But again, we're super excited to bring this to our residents, and we hope everybody appreciates the locations, the dinners, the food that we have here, the special shops that we have for our citizens. Please spend your dollars. Keep Poquoson the best place to live and work and thrive.
Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you. Oh, and if I could, can I steal a little bit of minutes to update you on the Amory's Wharf Living Shoreline? I apologize
Yes, ma'am.
for taking
Please
the
do.
thunder, but we were actually meeting with the contractor today, and ironically, we asked him when he would like the notice to proceed. And most contractors, no offense, Ken, wants a little bit of time to get their documents ready and go. Well, this contractor's like, I want it issued today. I'm like, okay. So for those who are listening at home, tomorrow we're going to put out the news that Amory's Wharf, starting Thursday, you're going to see some activities down there. It's going to take about 4 weeks, we hope less, but for that 4 weeks, the launch pad will not be available for our citizens to do a canoe. However, in 4 weeks, once that's up and ready, they'll be able to see the work that we've done down there. So citizens will see a change. It is a construction area. We ask citizens and young patrons not to go past the construction area line. Give us some time to make that place beautiful. But again, this was unusual to have a contractor ready to go as we did our initial meeting, so we're planning on issuing the notice to proceed on them on Thursday. But we're going to get this updated, and so you'll see some business going down there.
That's great news, Tanya. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Okay, but Ken, y'all did great work.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I was waiting for November 1st, a nice, easy number to remember to start with.
That's fair enough, he was.
That concludes item D, our special presentations, and we'll move on to item E on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from the regular session of May 12th, 2025.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. Have any questions or comments? Christie, call for vote, please.
Vice Mayor Bunting?
Aye.
Councilman Fye?
Aye.
Councilman Southall? Oh, sorry. Councilman Freeman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett?
Aye.
Mayor Hugs?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Christie. So moving on to item F, new business, we have one item. It's a resolution canceling the second meeting of the months of June, July, and August of 2025. Do we have a motion and a second?
Mr. Mayor, I propose a resolution canceling the second meetings of the months of June, July, and August 2025.
Second?
Thank you. Questions or comments? Christie?
Councilwoman Emmett?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Fye?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bunting?
Aye.
Councilman Freeman?
Aye.
Mayor Hugs?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Christie. And I would like to elaborate on that one just a little bit. Councilman Freeman reminded me recently that our tradition over the past several years has been to go to our summer wardrobe for the June, July, and August meeting. So thank you for the reminder, Councilman Freeman. And if I could add a little bit to that, since we're having a special meeting tomorrow and another special meeting on Thursday to interview school board member possible appointees, I think it would be fitting if we wear our council shirts on for those meetings as well. We can get just a consensus among council.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. Anybody opposed to that? Very well. We'll have our council shirts until the September meeting, and we'll go back to our normal wardrobe. So thank you for that. And moving on to item G on the agenda, comments of the city manager. Randy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I like to always bring good news. I don't really have any good news to share, but I do have three things that I think are important to share with the community tonight. First, in case you haven't seen it already, our Rite Aid is scheduled to close as part of the national bankruptcy and closing of Rite Aids. The last day it will be open will be June the 12th. The prescriptions that are already there will be transferred to the Kroger, Tab Kroger, which is the one up near Kiln Creek. If you would like to have a different place for your existing prescriptions, you can talk to what would be your new pharmacy and ask them to reach out to Rite Aid on your behalf and have them switch there. They say don't wait until the last minute. Or alternatively, you can simply call your doctor's office and ask them to write you new prescriptions to the pharmacy of your choice. Second item, we were informed today that beginning as early as next week, VDOT will be temporarily lowering the speed limit on Wythe Creek throughout the construction zone, beginning at about Huntlandia and going on to Commander Shepard. So this temporary speed limit reduction will be from, on our side, the posted speed limit 40 miles an hour to 25 through the construction area, and that will happen as early as next week. And finally, on Thursday and Friday of this week is the scheduled work to actually install the arms for the traffic light, the main traffic light there at Legacy that they've been working on for a while. That will happen between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. We will be putting out a lot of public notice, but if you happen to be coming in and out of the city Thursday and Friday between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., you might want to take Carey's Chapel or Yorktown Road as an alternative, just to avoid the delays. For the most part, there'll be single-lane closures, but there will be short periods where they'll need to close the entire road as they're working the large things across for safety. You may have already seen the large sign positioned at the intersection. That's what it's going to say tomorrow, as well as our social media website, our electronic sign. But found all of those things out today. I started with 0 things to talk about, but all 3 are timely, and we will employ various strategies to get all that information out, particularly the last 2. But I thought it would be worth mentioning about the Rite Aid as well.
And when's the last day for the Rite Aid?
The 12th.
The 12th.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, go ahead. The traffic light closures were Thursday and Friday of this week?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
My pleasure, sir. That's all I have.
Thank you. Item H on the agenda is council directives. Mr. Freeman, you have anything to share?
Well, about the only thing is, thank the American Legion for the ceremony out there yesterday. Had a good crowd. They did a good job in spite of the rain, or started with rain and ended up pretty nice. So give them thanks. And also I had a lot of comment from people that parked in the new public safety building parking lot and got to walk down the new sidewalk right to the area where we had ceremony. And they appreciated that. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Keith?
Only one thing is, I visited the library today, out of necessity. I was kicked out of the house, and spent some good time there, which is always good. I encourage anybody, they put like posters up, mini posters, on the wall there, they excited, and there's about 4 items that are coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks that look really exciting, having to do with, sound like genealogy, funerary. I didn't know it had to do with funerals, which is really it really sounded exciting things for the older people. I know a lot of stuff is geared toward the children, but this sounds like something, if you're into ancestry and genealogy, really some good things, especially because it's geared around Poquoson, kind of like a little bit of what we heard this evening. So encourage everyone to head to the library and take a look at what we have offered there. I should say our award-winning library.
Thank you, Keith. Jeannie? Thank you. Angie?
I would just like to congratulate the Odyssey of the Mind teams from all 3 schools. The elementary school placed 3rd in the world, the middle school placed 4th in the world, and the high school placed 1st in the world for Odyssey of the Mind, which is a competition. For those who don't know, it's creativity, it's some engineering, it's some spontaneity, teamwork. It's really a very unique competition. So I can congratulate all their teams and Norm, their coach, who has been doing this for years and years and puts his heart and soul into it.
Thank you, Angie. Appreciate that. Debbie?
I would also like to thank the American Legion for the ceremony that they put on yesterday for Day. It seems like the rain is becoming a tradition, but it seems like we prevail, and by the end of the ceremony, the rain has subsided. It was a good time. As well as tonight, I want to thank Charlene for bringing the information that she did regarding the Memorial Day ceremony that we had tonight. It is very interesting to read about those folks and just to, think about those individuals in our community. Again and again, their resting site is here in Poquoson. Names are, familiar of others that you hear. So it was a great tribute to them and their families, and I'd like to thank her for that. And I think that's all.
Thank you, Debbie.
Alrighty.
You also had several individuals and groups to recognize and thank, and also wanted to share my appreciation for the Memorial Day ceremony with the American Legion, Highway Board Post 273, and seated at the dais are 2 members of the American Legion. Councilman Freeman, Councilman Fye, both retired Air Force veterans, so we certainly appreciate the service as well. Also like to thank Ryan Kelly, who opened the building for the event yesterday morning, for our library director, Jessica Hartley, for using her chairs and tables to set up for the event and placing the event on social media. Christy Snap for coordinating with the Poquoson Police Department, Poquoson Fire Department, and Poquoson City Council. Also like to thank the Police Chief Stephen Cates and Fire Chief Mike Bryant, as well as John Anderson and all the Public Works for cleaning up and ensuring the landscaping around the memorial was proper. Also like to thank Poquoson Police Corporal Root for manning his post. Some of that time was in the rain, providing traffic control for us. So thank you very much, Root. Also like to recognize and thank people that work behind the scenes to ensure these meetings run smoothly. Assistant City Manager Tanya O'Connell, always serving as a shepherd. She oversees and keeps things running smooth, oftentimes off camera that nobody else can see. Ashley Chaika, who's taken the minutes for us and also designed the 50th anniversary logo that we mentioned earlier. We even have our finance director, Tara Woodruff, here with us tonight as well. And thanks also to our IT support, Allison Kroll and Jen Canella. Thank you so much for all that you do. Also like to thank Judge Andy Mullins. Andy has been filling in with us on and off over the years, and he's been appointed as a judge, which is a tremendous accomplishment. I doubt very many attorneys, which is also a great accomplishment, but I doubt very many attorneys reach the level of judgeship. So congratulations on that, well deserved, Judge Mullins. Yes, well deserved. I think that concludes everybody I need to thank. Tanya, did I skip over anybody? Very well. And recognize Mr. Paul Schubert as well. He's don't want to leave anybody out. He's been a faithful supporter and always expresses his interest in what goes on in the city. So thank you, Mr. Schubert, for being with us as well. So I think I covered everybody, and all well-deserved praise and appreciation. So that being said, we'll move on to item I on the agenda, which is adjournment. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Okay, Christie?
Councilman Fye,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bunting,
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett,
Aye.
Councilman Freeman,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Mayor Hooks.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you, Christie. We are adjourned.